Welcome to PBS39 Scholastic Scrimmage. Scholastic Scrimmage is brought to you by the members of PBS39 and by
Scholastic Scrimmage is sponsored by St. Luke's University Health Network, the region's leading provider of medical education. For more than 100 years, St. Luke's has been dedicated to educating physicians, nurses, and healthcare professionals. To learn more, call St. Luke's InfoLink, toll free at 866 St. Luke's, or visit sluhn.org.
Support for PBS 39's educational programming is provided by the Deluxe Corporation Foundation, proud to support quality programming on PBS 39.
And now your host, Dr. Karen Walton, Provost DeSales University.
Welcome to Scholastic Scrimmage. This is the first contest of the 2015-2016 academic year. It's also the 42nd year that PBS 39 has brought you this academic competition. I'm Karen Walton, and I'm delighted to be your host. From now until May, the best and brightest students from 31 schools will compete for the honor of being the Scholastic Scrimmage champions. At the end of the season, the two final teams will win scholarships for their schools from the Air Products Foundation. Let's meet the team from Northampton High School.
Hello, my name is Nick Longenbach, and I am a junior.
Hello, I'm Noah Vahavrik, and I'm a sophomore.
Hello, my name is Scott Schmidt, and I'm a senior.
Hello, I'm Joel Banco, and I'm a senior.
Northampton's coach is Krista Ames. And now the team from Marian High School.
Hi, I'm Stephen Betterly, I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Deanna Kosklitz, and I'm a senior.
Hello, I'm Ryan Kelly, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Jack Hurst, and I'm a senior.
Marian Catholic's coach is Amanda Belfiore. The judges for today's contest are Sally Campbell, retired English teacher, and Dr. Gary DeLeo, professor of physics at Lehigh University. Remember that the questions on Scholastic Scrimmage demand rapid recall of factual information and are not necessarily indicative of academic training. We understand the rules, so let's begin the contest with a toss-up in world literature. Dante's The Divine Comedy has three major parts. Name them. Northampton, Noah?
The Inferno.
Three major parts. Name them.
Oh. I don't know.
It goes over to Marian.
Heaven, hell, and purgatory.
That's incorrect. The correct answer is hell, purgatory, and paradise. Next question is in American literature. This poet, considered one of the major fireside poets, along with Whittier, Holmes, and Lowell, wrote the narrative poem, The Skeleton in Armor, after an armor-clad skeleton was unearthed near Fall River, Massachusetts. Name the poet. That was Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Next toss-up is in chemistry, multiple choice. Real gases are most like ideal gases under which condition shown on the monitor? Is it A, high pressure and high temperature, B, low pressure and low temperature, C, high pressure and low temperature, or D, low pressure and high temperature? It is Northampton. Scott?
A, high pressure, high temperature.
Goes over to Marian.
B.
Stephen?
B. Low pressure, low temperature.
It is D, low pressure and high temperature. Next toss-up is in world history. What was the major objective of the Crusades? It is Marian Catholic. Deanna?
To reclaim the Holy Land.
That is correct. And your bonus, for 5 points each, from which two European countries did children leave in 1212 to begin the Children's Crusade? Deanne?
France and England.
It was France and Germany, so you did get 5 points out of the 10-point bonus. Next toss-up is in mathematics general, multiple choice. In symbolic logic, an if-then statement, P implies Q, is equivalent to which of the following? 1, Q implies P. 2, P implies not Q. 3 is not P implies not Q. Or 4, not Q implies not P.
3, not P implies.
It is Marian. Deanne?
C, not P implies not Q.
Goes over to Northampton. It is Nick.
Q implies P.
It is 4, not Q implies not P. That's the contrapositive. Next toss-up is in British literature. In Lost Horizon, James Hilton wrote about the inhabitants of mythical Shangri-La. What supposedly happened to the inhabitants of Shangri-La when they left the valley? They aged rapidly. Next toss-up is in U.S. geography. Providence, Rhode Island is at the head of what inlet of the Atlantic Ocean? It is Scott in Northampton.
Narragansett Bay.
You are correct, and your bonus is this. What Rhode Island city, home to the oldest synagogue in the U.S. and host of jazz and folk music festivals, is located on the entrance to Narragansett Bay?
No idea.
Newport Folk Festival. I think you knew that. Next toss-up is in physics. Which branch of physics deals with the action of forces on solids, liquids, and gases at rest or in motion? It is mechanics. Next toss-up in mathematics. Consider the triangle ABC on the monitor, which is not drawn to scale. If the measure of angle A is 60 and AC is longer than AB, what is the smallest angle of the triangle? It goes to Northampton. Scott?
Angle C.
Is correct. And your bonus is this. What is the area of the square ABCD on the monitor? Scott?
4n squared.
Correct. Next toss-up is in U.S. history. What American inventor owned the 1836 patent for a gun with a revolving chamber? It is Northampton. Scott?
Colt.
Correct. Bonus for 5 points each. Name the United States inventor of each of the following inventions. First, based on earlier designs, this machine was the first to reap grain successfully. Scott?
Eli Whitney.
It is McCormick, the McCormick Reaper. And next, the electric telegraph. Yes.
Samuel Morse.
Correct. Toss up in world literature. In this, the most famous of medieval morality plays, the title character must make his final reckoning before going to meet death. Name this morality play. It is Northampton. Nick?
Everyman?
Yes, and your bonus. Another type of medieval play that depicted the lives of saints or martyrs of the church was called what?
Don't know.
No response?
No response.
A miracle play. Next toss-up is in music. The following piece was made popular when it was featured in what 1968 film? Northampton?
2001: A Space Odyssey.
You are correct. You didn't need much of that piece. And your bonus. What German composed this piece? Also sprach Zarathustra. Scott.
Richard Strauss.
It is correct. I'm going to pronounce that again. Also sprach Zarathustra. Tongue twister. Next toss-up is in U.S. history. And now a video question in Pennsylvania history with Laura McHugh.
The Bethlehem Steel Corporation can trace its history back to 1857, when a group of railroaders and investors founded which company?
It is Marian. Jack?
Bethlehem Steel.
It will go over to Northampton. Joel?
American Steel.
Sakona Iron Company. The next toss-up is in U.S. geography. What city is first, alphabetically, in a list of U.S. state capitals? Northampton. Nick?
Annapolis.
Over to Marian. Albany. You're close. You're close. Good try. Next toss-up is in language arts. Writing in the year 2000 about the arrival of the fourth Harry Potter book, Joan Acasella describes the series as full of Gothic paraphernalia. Quote, turreted castles, purloined letters, surprise visitors arriving in the dark of the night, backed by forked lightning, end of quote. Provide a synonym for purloined appropriate to this context. Purloined letters. It is stolen. Next toss-up is in world history. In 1899 and 1907, international peace conferences were held. What were they called? Northampton? Noah?
Treaty of Versailles.
We'll go over to Marian. The Hague Conferences. They were held in The Hague in the Netherlands. It's halftime. The halftime score is Northampton 55, Marian 5. In the first round, we asked each student to tell us something about his or her hero or role model. So let's begin with Northampton. Nick?
My hero is Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. Because he has dealt with many heartbreaking tragedies in his life, and he's still been able to become a role model for many different people.
Thank you. Noah?
I admire the composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart for being interesting in creating wonderful music.
And being a genius, I guess. Yeah. And Scott?
My role models are my dad and mom for always being there for me.
Thank you. Joel?
My heroes are probably my parents for always encouraging me to do my best.
Thank you. Let's go over to Marian. Stephen?
My hero would be my dad because he taught me all the valuable things that I know today.
Thank you. Deanne?
My role model would probably be my older sister, Tara. She helps me with all my problems and gives me advice on everything.
Thank you. Ryan?
My role model would be my parents because they always push me to do my best and are always challenging me.
Thank you. Jack?
My role models would be my parents because they've helped me become the person I am today.
Thank you. Wonderful role models. Thank you all. Thank you. Next toss-up is in biology, multiple choice. Which one of the following is the number of weeks required for hen eggs to hatch? 2, 3, 6, or 9? Northampton? Noah?
3.
Good for you. And your bonus. A young frog is a tadpole. For 5 points each, what are the young of the following species called? First, kangaroo. Scott?
Joey.
Next, zebra. Scott?
Calf.
It is called a foal. One would think colt, wouldn't one? But it's not. That's not the correct answer. It is, as I said, foal. Next toss-up is in art. In which city are the Tate Gallery and the Victoria and Albert Museum? Northampton? Noah?
London.
Correct. And your bonus. In which city are the Museum of Modern Art, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and the Guggenheim Museum? Scott?
New York City.
Correct. Next toss-up is in American literature. Name the poem that immortalized a Boston silversmith who warned of an impending attack by the British.
The Midnight Ride.
Marian? Deanne?
The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere.
The judges will or will not accept the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. They will not, so it will go over to Northampton. And the person who buzzed in is Scott.
Paul Revere.
I know the judges will not accept that. It's Paul Revere's Ride.
All right.
Both of you were close, but the correct answer is Paul Revere's Ride. Next toss-up is in U.S. history. Which Missouri city was the headquarters of the Pony Express line? St. Joseph, Missouri. Next toss-up is in mathematics. What do we call a polynomial function of degree 0? We call it a constant function, like y is equal to 5, something of that sort. Next toss-up is in physics, multiple choice. On the monitor, we see 3 positions of a swinging pendulum, at which point A, B, or C is the magnitude of the tangential acceleration vector greatest. It is Northampton. Scott?
C.
Over to Marian. The person who buzzed in is, I cannot see, it is Jack.
B.
It is A. Next toss-up is in mathematics, paper and pencil. Brad can cut a lawn with a power mower in 3 hours. It takes him 3 times as long to use a manual push mower. After 2 hours, he ran out of gas. How long did it take him to finish the lawn with the manual push mower? Northampton. Scott?
5 hours.
Over to Marian. Jack?
3 hours.
Correct. And your bonus, paper and pencil. Cyclist A started a trip averaging 10 miles per hour. Cyclist B leaves 1 hour later. How fast must cyclist B ride to catch up with cyclist A in 3 hours? Round off your answer to the nearest mile. Deanne?
15 miles per hour.
It's 13 miles per hour. It's actually 40 over 3, which is 13 1/3, so the closest is 13. Next toss-up is U.S. history. What amendment to the U.S. Constitution defines citizenship and the privileges of citizens? It is Marian. Ryan?
The 14th Amendment.
Yes, and your bonus for 5 points each. In what year was the 14th Amendment ratified? Deanne?
1865.
It was 1868. The second part, how many sections does this amendment have? Deanne?
3.
It has 5. Next toss-up is in biology. What is the name for any inactive substance given to a control group as if it were an effective treatment in a medical study? Northampton, Scott?
Placebo.
Bonus. A measurable, observable, or felt improvement in health that is not attributed to treatment is called what?
No answer.
No answer. It's the placebo effect. Next toss-up is in British literature. About which character in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar are these final words spoken, quote, "This was the noblest Roman of them all. His life was gentle, and the elements so mixed in him that nature might stand up and say to all the world, this was a man." Brutus. Toss-up in chemistry. What name is given to straight chain or branched chain saturated hydrocarbons? Marian? Stephen?
Polymers.
Over to Northampton. They're called alkanes. Next toss-up is U.S. history. What item was commissioned by the Pennsylvania Assembly in 1751 and was hung in the State House in 1753 to commemorate William Penn's Charter of Privileges, Pennsylvania's original constitution? Was hung, the Liberty Bell. Next toss-up is in U.S. geography. A 100-mile length of buckled earth called the Water Packet Fold can be found in Capitol Reef National Park. Salt Lake City provides the nearest in-state airport. In what state is Capitol Reef National Park located? Utah, Salt Lake City, all right, yes. And next toss-up is in geometry. What is the y-intercept of the parabola defined by the function f of x is equal to x squared minus 8x plus 15? Northampton?
7.
It goes over to Marian. Deanne?
5 and -3.
It is 15, or the point 0, 15. At the y-intercept, x is equal to 0, so y is equal to 15. Next toss-up is U.S. history. What amendment to the U.S. Constitution defines the beginning and ending dates of terms of the President, the Vice President, Senators, and Representatives? That is Amendment 20. Biology. Name the two types of photoreceptor cells found in the retina. Marian?
Cones and rods.
It is correct. And your bonus. Where would you find the highest concentration of cones in the retina? Deanne?
The back of the eye.
Can you give me the name? Fovea. Fovea is the correct answer. Next toss-up is in language arts. State the past tense and past participle forms of the verb to flee. Marian? Deanne?
Fled and had fled.
That is correct. Your bonus. For 5 points each, state the past tense and past participle forms of these verbs. First, to slay. Deanne?
Slain and had slain.
It is slew and have slain. All right. And next is to swing. You may answer to swing. Deanne?
Swung and had swung.
That is correct. So you did get 5 points. The final score is Northampton 85, Marian 45. Our thanks to Marian High School for being with us. Congratulations to Northampton High School. We'll see you for a second round later in the season. Thank you for watching and supporting these excellent students. Please join us next week for another contest on Scholastic Scrimmage.
Scholastic Scrimmage is brought to you by the members of PBS 39 and by
Support for PBS 39's educational programming is provided by the Deluxe Corporation Foundation, proud to support quality programming on PBS 39.